The containment facility smelled like fear and burnt ozone. Dr. Owen Reeves noticed this the moment he stepped off the transport shuttle. He had smelled fear before, back on Earth when he worked with injured apex predators. This was different, though. This fear was old, settled into the walls like a stain that would never wash out. Director Haven met him at the airlock. The insectoid alien's compound eyes reflected the harsh white lighting as his mandibles clicked nervously. "Dr. Reeves, thank you for coming on such short notice. Your message said you had a dying patient." Owen adjusted the strap of his medical bag. "I came as fast as I could." "Patient?" Haven's translator Chip struggled with what might have been a bitter laugh. "The Council calls it a weapon. My security team calls it a nightmare. The scientists call it impossible." They walked through corridors lined with enough firepower to level a small moon. Guards from a dozen different species stood at attention, but Owen noticed their weapons shaking. Whatever they were guarding, it terrified them down to their bones. 3 solar systems, Haven said quietly. "Gone, billions of lives. It tore through our warships like they were paper. Took 17 dreadnoughts firing simultaneously to bring it down. Even then, we nearly lost it." Owen had read the reports during the flight. The casualty numbers made him sick. And now it's here. "Dying slowly. We cannot get near it. The psychic field it projects causes immediate system shock in most species. Even our bravest soldiers last less than 30 seconds before their minds shut down." Haven stopped at a massive blast door. "It refuses all food, all contact. We believe it is choosing death." "Why does that matter to the Council?" Owen asked. "Seems like your problem would solve itself." Haven's antennae drooped. "Our scientists detected energy buildups. They believe if it dies, the psychic backlash could destroy everything within 100 light years. This facility, the nearby colonies, millions more lives." He paused. "We are desperate, Dr. Reeves. Your species has a reputation for dealing with dangerous creatures. Your Lieutenant Walsh spoke highly of your abilities." "Amy recommended me," Owen smiled slightly. "She always did overestimate what I could do." The blast door opened. Beyond it, an observation room overlooked a massive containment chamber. The room itself could have held a city block. In its center, surrounded by shimmering energy fields and weapon platforms, something massive lay curled in the darkness. Owen approached the reinforced window. Dr. Iris, an avian scientist with brilliant blue feathers, backed away instinctively. "I would not stand so close, human. Even through the barriers, one can feel its hatred." But Owen pressed his hand against the glass, studying what lay below. The creature was enormous, easily the size of a large building. Its scales looked like polished obsidian drinking in the light. As he watched, it shifted slightly and he caught a glimpse of eyes, deep, ancient eyes that held intelligence. "You said it destroyed your ships." Owen turned to Haven. "Did you ever ask why?" "Why?" Dr. Iris's feathers ruffled. "It is a predator, a force of destruction. There is no why." "Everything has a why." Owen looked back at the creature. "Show me your containment logs, all interactions since capture." For the next 6 hours, Owen reviewed footage and data while the facility staff watched in confusion. He saw the creature thrashing against barriers, screaming sounds that shattered recording equipment. He saw scientists attempting contact, soldiers attempting intimidation, diplomats attempting negotiation. Every approach met with violence or silence. But Owen saw something else. The way the creature flinched when the containment field activated. How it curled tighter after each failed interaction. The tremors that ran through its massive frame. "It's in pain," he said finally. "Of course it is in pain," Iris snapped. "We had to subdue it with weapons that would crack moons. The injuries will heal." "No," Owen pointed at the screen. "Look at the pattern. Every time your containment field pulses, it reacts, not with anger, with pain." He pulled up the technical specifications. "This field is designed to suppress psychic abilities." "Correct," Haven confirmed. "Otherwise it would kill everyone on this station." "It's burning its neural pathways." Owen's voice went cold. "You're essentially electrocuting its brain every second of every day. You've been torturing it for months." The room went silent. Security Chief Bren, a massive reptilian warrior, stepped forward. "You cannot expect us to lower the field. It would be suicide." "I expect you to modify it." Owen turned to face them all. "Right now, you're treating a patient like a prisoner. No wonder. It wants to die." "This is unacceptable," Iris protested. "We cannot risk the lives of everyone here based on your speculation." Owen looked at the director. "You brought me here because nothing else worked. Either you trust me or I leave, your choice." Haven's mandibles worked silently for a long moment. Finally, he gestured to his technicians. "Modify the field, reduce the psychic suppression by 40%, maintain physical barriers at maximum." "Director, I must protest," Bren growled. "Protest noted." Haven looked at Owen, and then Owen picked up his medical bag. "Then I go in there." The observation room erupted in objections. Impossible, suicide, insanity. Owen waited for the noise to die down. "I've walked into cages with wounded tigers, Dr. Iris. I've treated wild bears with infections. I've sat with dying elephants who could have crushed me without effort." He looked at each of them. "Every single time, everyone told me I would die. Every single time I walked out alive, because I listened to what the animal was trying to tell me." Lieutenant Amy Walsh entered the observation room, still in her military uniform. She met Owen's eyes and nodded once. "He's insane," she told the assembled aliens. "He's also the best at what he does. If anyone can reach that thing, it's him." Director Haven made a decision that might cost him his career. "Prepare for containment entry. Dr. Reeves, you have your chance. Try not to make me regret this." Owen smiled grimly. "I'll do my best." Below them, the massive creature stirred, as if sensing that something was about to change. Owen spent 3 days reviewing every piece of data the facility had collected. He ignored the impatient stares and whispered doubts. Somewhere in the thousands of hours of footage and sensor readings, there had to be answers. Dr. Iris found him in the archives at what humans called 3 in the morning. "You should rest. The creature is not going anywhere." "Neither am I." Owen zoomed in on a thermal scan. "Look at this. Right here, see that hot spot near the base of its spine." Iris leaned closer, her keen avian eyes studying the image. "Elevated temperature, likely inflammation from combat injuries." "Now look at this scan from 2 months ago. Same spot, same temperature." Owen pulled up 10 more scans. "It hasn't healed. If anything, it's getting worse." "Perhaps its species heals slowly. Or something is wrong that your doctors missed." Owen pulled up the capture footage. "Show me the exact weapons used during the battle." The footage made him flinch. 17 warships had surrounded the creature, firing neural disruptors, plasma cannons, and kinetic harpoons. The creature had fought like a cornered animal, destroying 3 ships before a lucky shot with a tracking lance had pierced its hide. There, Owen froze the image. "That tracking device, is it still in there?" Iris checked the logs. Her feathers went flat against her skull. "According to this, the device was designed to burn out after capture. It should be inert metal by now." "Should be, is it?" They ran new scans. Deep beneath the creature's obsidian scales, the tracking device still pulsed with faint energy. And around it, the tissue had turned necrotic, spreading poison through the creature's nervous system. "By the old nests," Iris whispered, "we have been slowly killing it with our own weapon." Owen stood. "I need to go in there now." "Absolutely not." Security Chief Bren had entered the archive room silently. "We modify the containment field in 6 hours after triple-checking every safety protocol. You will wait." "That thing is dying from an infection we caused." Owen met the reptilian warrior's eyes. "Every hour we wait, the poison spreads further. By the time your protocols are ready, it might be too late." "Better that than losing our only expert on Deathworld creatures." Bren's voice was surprisingly gentle. "Lieutenant Walsh told me about your work on Earth. She said you once spent 2 weeks living next to a wounded bear until it trusted you enough for treatment." 3 weeks, and it was a polar bear." "Then you understand patience. 6 hours, Dr. Reeves. We do this properly or not at all. Owen wanted to argue, but he recognized the wall of military stubbornness when he saw it. Fine, but I need medical equipment, surgical tools, antibiotics that can handle an infection this severe. Make a list, I will have everything ready. Bren paused at the door. My people have a saying, the bravest warrior is not the one who fears nothing. It is the one who feels fear and walks forward anyway. You may be insane, human, but you are also brave. Try not to die. The paperwork would be terrible. The 6 hours crawled by. Owen prepared his equipment with the care of someone who knew his life depended on it. Amy Walsh found him. In the medical bay, packing antibiotics designed for species they had never met. You don't have to do this, she said. Nobody would blame you for walking away. Yes, they would, I would. Owen sealed the medical kit. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? It could tear you apart in seconds. It could drive you insane with psychic attacks. It could. Amy trailed off. I've known you for 12 years, Owen. I've never seen you back down from an animal in need. But this thing isn't an animal. It's killed billions. So did humans once upon a time, before we learned better. Owen checked his gear one final time. Every species has the capacity for violence when threatened. Doesn't mean they're evil, just means they're scared. Director Haven's voice came over the intercom. Dr. Reeves, we are ready. The containment field has been modified. Physical barriers are at maximum. Medical equipment is staged at the entrance. A pause. May your gods watch over you. Don't have any, but thanks anyway. The walk to the containment chamber felt longer than it was. Owen was aware of every eye watching him through cameras and observation windows. The blast doors opened with a sound like thunder. The creature was even more massive up close. Its scales caught the light like dark mirrors. As Owen entered, its head rose slowly, and those ancient eyes fixed on him. The psychic pressure hit like a wave. Most beings would have collapsed. Owen had spent years working with his mind, learning to control his fear responses. He felt the pressure, acknowledged it, and kept walking, one step, then another. His heart hammered, but his hands stayed steady. The creature made a sound, not the ear-shattering scream from the footage. This was quieter, almost curious. Hello, Owen said softly. I know you don't understand me yet. That's okay. I'm here to help if you'll let me. He sat down on the floor, 20 meters from the creature's massive head. From the observation room, he heard gasps. Sitting made you vulnerable. Sitting meant you were not a threat. The creature's eyes narrowed. Its tail twitched, scraping against the far wall with a sound like grinding stones. Owen waited. He had food in his pack, but offering it now would be wrong. First came trust. Food could come later. He pulled out a small tablet and began making notes, narrating quietly. You're in pain. I can see it in how you hold yourself. That tracking device in your spine is poisoning you. I'd like to remove it, but I need you to trust me first. He glanced up at those intelligent eyes. I imagine trust is hard when everyone you've met has tried to kill you. Hours passed. Owen stayed seated. The creature watched him. Gradually, its psychic pressure decreased. Not gone, but less like a crushing weight and more like a heavy blanket. When the shift change alarm sounded, Owen stood slowly. I'll be back tomorrow. Think about whether you want to keep hurting or whether you want to try something different. He walked to the exit without turning his back, showing respect, not fear. In the observation room, Director Haven looked stunned. It did not attack. It barely even moved. Because I didn't threaten it. Owen accepted water from Amy. Tomorrow I'll bring food. We'll see if it's ready for the next step. Dr. Iris studied her instruments. The psychic readings, they changed. Instead of pure aggression, there were moments of what I can only describe as confusion. Good confusion means it's thinking. Owen headed for the door. Thinking means we have a chance. Day 4 began like the others. Owen entered the containment chamber carrying a sealed container of synthesized proteins that the science team hoped might appeal to the creature's biology. He sat in the same spot as before, opened the container, and set it between himself and the massive being. I brought breakfast. Well, it's breakfast for me, might be dinner for you. Time is weird in space. He pulled out his own meal, something that looked like oatmeal but tasted like regret. This is terrible, by the way, I miss real food. The creature's eyes tracked the food container, but did not move toward it. Owen ate slowly, talking between bites. I grew up on a wildlife reserve in Africa. My parents were conservation scientists. When I was 7, I found an injured lion cub. Everyone said to leave it alone, that the mother would come back. She didn't. The cub was dying. He paused, remembering. I sat with her for 2 days, brought her water, talked to her. Eventually, she let me get close enough to treat her wounds. We released her back into the wild 3 months later. The creature made a low, rumbling sound, not threatening, something else. The thing is, she remembered me. Years later, when I was doing field work, I saw a lioness watching me from a distance. Same scar pattern. She watched me work, then left, never aggressive, just curious, just remembering. Owen set down his bowl. I think you remember too. Remember whatever happened before they caught you. Over the next week, Owen established a routine. 12 hours in the chamber, 12 hours reviewing data and resting. He brought food daily, never pushing, never forcing. The creature began eating when he left, the containers always empty by his next visit. Dr. Iris worked with him during the off hours, analyzing the creature's vocalizations. There are patterns, repetitions that suggest language, not just animal sounds. Can you translate it? Possibly, if we had more samples, if it would vocalize more. Iris looked frustrated. Our universal translators are built on understanding syntax and grammar. Whatever this creature speaks, it predates anything in our databases. Owen had an idea. What if we try the other direction? What if I teach it our language first? The next day he brought picture cards, simple images, food, water, pain, safety. He held them up, spoke the words clearly, and watched those ancient eyes study each one with intense focus. Security Chief Bren watched from the observation room, shaking his massive head. He treats a planet killer like a child learning words. Perhaps that is what it needs, Amy Walsh replied. Everyone else approached it as a weapon. Owen approaches it as a being. On day 12, breakthrough happened. Owen held up the card for pain and pointed to the area where the tracking device was embedded. Pain, that is causing you pain. The creature's eyes focused on the card. Then deliberately it moved its tail and tapped the floor once. The observation room went silent. Did it just? Director Haven began. Respond, yes. Owen felt his heart race but kept his voice calm. That's good, that's very good. He held up another card, safety. I want to help, I want to remove the pain, but I need to get close. I need you to trust that I mean safety, not harm. The creature studied him for a long moment. Then it did something unexpected. It lowered its massive head to the floor and closed its eyes, the universal sign of submission and trust. Owen stood slowly. I'm coming closer now. If you change your mind, let me know, I'll stop. He crossed the distance one careful step at a time. 20 meters, 15, 10, 5. The creature remained still, though he could see its scales twitching with tension. When he reached its side, he gently placed his hand on one of the obsidian scales. It was warm, feverish. The infection was worse than he thought. Okay, I see it now. He examined the area where the tracking device was embedded. The flesh around it had turned an ugly gray color, and he could smell the rot even through his breathing filter. This is going to hurt. I'm sorry, but leaving it will hurt worse. Owen worked quickly but carefully. He had brought local anesthetics, but he knew they might not work on alien biology. The creature flinched when he made the first incision, but held still. Its breath came in short, pained bursts that stirred the air like a windstorm. The tracking device was worse than the scans showed. It had sent roots into the surrounding tissue, burning and corrupting everything it touched. Owen cut carefully, removing each piece, cleaning the wound as he went. The creature's massive body trembled, but it did not pull away. Almost done, you're doing great, better than most of my patients back home. Owen extracted the last fragment and began flushing the wound with antibiotics. There, the bad part is over. He packed the wound with synthetic tissue and sealed it with medical adhesive. The creature's breathing began to slow, returning to something more normal. When Owen stepped back, those ancient eyes opened and fixed on him. For a moment he felt pressure in his mind, not the crushing terror from before. This was different. Gentler, it felt like gratitude. The creature made a sound, complex and layered. Owen's translator chip caught nothing, but he did not need translation to understand the meaning. "You're welcome," he said softly. In the observation room, Dr. Iris was frantically analyzing readings. The energy signature changed. The psychic field is restructuring itself. It's no longer defensive. Director Haven watched Owen carefully clean his tools and pack them away while the creature watched with what could only be described as fascination. He did it. The insane human actually did it. "Never doubted him for a second," Amy lied cheerfully. Owen spent another hour in the chamber, simply sitting with the creature. It watched him with intelligent curiosity, occasionally making sounds that felt like questions. He showed it more picture cards, and it began tapping responses. 1 tap for yes, 2 for no, 3 for unclear. "We're going to need bigger cards," Owen told the observers, "and I think we need to start calling it by something other than it. This is someone, not something." When he finally left the chamber, he was exhausted but satisfied. "Tomorrow, we teach more words. Real communication is possible, I'm sure of it." Behind him, the creature that had destroyed star systems curled up in the center of the chamber. For the first time in months, it slept without pain. 3 weeks after the surgery, Owen sat cross-legged beside the creature while Dr. Iris monitored their progress from the observation room. The translation matrix was finally working, converting the creature's complex vocalizations into something approximating standard galactic. "Again," Owen said, holding up a card with a star system diagram. "What is this place to you?" The creature rumbled and the translator crackled to life. "Home, nest, young." Owen's blood went cold. "You had children there." A sound that might have been affirmation. The creature's tail curled protectively. Through the developing translation, emotions bled through: loss, grief, rage. Dr. Iris was already pulling up files. Her voice came through Owen's earpiece, shaking. "The first system it destroyed, checking mining records." A long pause. "Oh no, oh no, no, no." "What is it?" The Terran Mining Corporation had an operation there, deep space asteroid mining. The reports said the system was uninhabited. Her voice grew harder. But there was a secondary report, flagged for review. Seismic charges detected unusual readings, possible life signs. The report recommended halting operations pending investigation. Let me guess, they ignored it. The report was filed, then buried. Operations continued. Iris pulled up more data. 3 weeks later, the system went dark. When scout ships arrived, they found the creature destroying everything in sight. Owen turned to the creature, whose eyes held depths of ancient pain. "They killed your children." The translator caught a sound like breaking stone. "Eggs, nest, quiet place, then burning, light, pain, children screaming, could not save, too late, all gone." "So you fought back?" "Destroyed the burning machines, hunted them, made them feel, made them know." The creature's scales rippled with remembered fury. "Then more machines came, more burning, more pain, no mercy, no stopping, so I stopped them." Owen felt sick. This was not a mindless monster. This was a parent who had lost everything. He stood and faced the observation window. "Did you hear that? Do you understand what this means?" Director Haven's voice was grave. "I heard. I am reviewing the files now." "This changes everything." Owen looked back at the creature. "What's your name? Your real name, not what we've called you." The sound that came was like wind through canyons, like stars being born, like the echo of something vast and old. The translator struggled, then settled on an approximation. "Skykeeper. I am Skykeeper. I tend the spaces between stars. I have done this since your species was young." "There are more like you." "Few, we hide now. Too many young races, too loud, too violent. We sleep in the dark places and wait." Sadness colored the words. "I thought I found a quiet place," was wrong. Over the next few days, Owen learned the truth. Skykeeper's species were not destroyers. They were gardeners of a sort, ancient beings who had existed before most current civilizations. They managed the life cycles of stars, preventing supernovas in populated regions, guiding cosmic radiation away from developing worlds. They were the galaxy's silent caretakers. But they needed specific conditions to breed. Quiet systems far from trade routes where their eggs could incubate in the cosmic background radiation for decades. Skykeeper had found such a place, or so it thought. The mining operation should never have been there, Director Haven admitted during an emergency council meeting that Owen attended via video link. The system was marked as a nature preserve. Someone approved the permits anyway. "Someone got paid," Amy Walsh said bluntly. "This has corruption written all over it." Security Chief Bren pulled up corporate records. Terran Mining Corporation, majority owned by a shell company, which is owned by another shell company, which is ultimately owned by Council Member Drath. The room erupted in accusations and denials. Owen listened to it all with growing anger. While you argue politics, Skykeeper is still in a cage it doesn't deserve to be in. The creature destroyed 3 systems, one council member protested. Billions died. After its children were murdered and it was hunted across half the galaxy, what would your species do? What would any of us do? Owen leaned toward the camera. You want to know the real difference between humans and other species? We know we're capable of terrible things. We've done terrible things. So we recognize it when fear and pain drive someone to violence. We don't excuse it, but we understand it. Dr. Iris spoke up. I have been analyzing Skykeeper's actions during the battles. In the second and third systems, it specifically targeted military and mining installations. It avoided populated civilian areas. These were not random acts of destruction. These were strategic strikes against those it perceived as threats. That makes it worse, the council member argued. It shows intelligence and planning. It shows restraint, Owen countered. A mindless monster would have killed everyone. Skykeeper was trying to make you stop hunting it. The debate raged for hours. Some council members demanded Skykeeper's continued imprisonment or execution. Others, swayed by the evidence, began questioning the official narrative. The truth was messy, complicated, and made everyone uncomfortable. While the politicians argued, Owen returned to the containment chamber. Skykeeper's head lifted as he entered. They argue. They do. Some want to let you go. Others are afraid. Should be afraid. I killed many. Yes, you did. Owen sat down. And that's something you'll have to live with, but they killed your children first. Sometimes there are no good choices, only terrible ones and slightly less terrible ones. Skykeeper was quiet for a long time. You understand loss. It was not a question, but Owen answered anyway. My sister, she died in a shuttle crash when I was 16. Mechanical failure that should have been caught. Company decided maintenance was too expensive. She died so someone could save money. He met those ancient eyes. I was angry for years, wanted someone to pay, eventually realized that anger was poison, couldn't bring her back, could only choose what to do next. What did you do? Became a vet, decided if I couldn't save her, I'd save others. Not the same, never the same, but it helped. You see me, not as a monster, as someone who failed to protect what mattered most. I see someone who did the only thing they could think to do. Right or wrong, that's what grief does, makes us act in ways we never thought we would. Owen stood. The council will make their decision soon. Whatever happens, I want you to know that at least one person in this galaxy doesn't think you're evil, just hurt. And hurt can heal if you let it. Skykeeper's psychic presence touched his mind gently. Not words, just a feeling of deep recognition and gratitude. Two beings from different worlds, united by the understanding that sometimes the universe breaks you, and you have to decide whether to break others in return or find another way forward. The attack came at shift change, when security was at its thinnest. Owen was in the observation room reviewing Skykeeper's latest communication attempts when the alarms started screaming. Breach in Sector 7, Bren's voice boomed over the intercom. Armed intruders, this is not a drill. Owen ran to the window overlooking the containment chamber. Below, 3 figures in combat armor were cutting through the secondary barriers with plasma torches. Their armor bore no insignia, but their weapons were military grade. They're heading for Skykeeper, Owen shouted into his comm. Lock down the chamber. Override codes are being entered from an inside source, a technician reported, panicked. Someone with council clearance is helping them. The barriers fell. The armed figures spread out, raising weapons that hummed with lethal energy, designed to kill, not capture. Owen did not think, he ran. The containment chamber door was locked, but Amy Walsh was already there, override codes flashing across her datapad. Going to be a few seconds, she said, fingers flying. We don't have seconds. I know. Below, the assassins opened fire. Energy blasts struck Skykeeper's scales, designed to punch through starship hulls. The ancient being roared in pain and fury, its psychic field exploding outward. 2 of the attackers dropped, their minds overloaded. The third staggered but kept firing. The door opened. Owen dove through before it was fully apart. Owen, no! Amy's scream echoed behind him. He sprinted across the chamber floor as the remaining attacker lined up a shot at Skykeeper's eye. One of the few vulnerable spots, a killing blow. Owen reached them just as the weapon fired. He threw himself between the gun and Skykeeper, arms spread wide. The blast caught him in the chest, sending him flying backward. He hit the floor hard, pain exploding through his ribs. The world went white, then black. Then he felt something massive and warm curl around him protectively. Skykeeper's psychic presence erupted like a supernova. The containment chamber filled with pressure that would have killed most beings. The assassin's armor cracked and they collapsed unconscious but alive. Owen felt the controlled precision of it. Skykeeper could have killed them, chose not to. Security forces poured in seconds later, Bren leading the charge. He took in the scene with wide eyes. The 3 unconscious attackers. Owen crumpled on the floor, and Skykeeper curled around the human like a parent protecting a child, its psychic field a protective barrier. Medic, Bren roared, now. Dr. Iris ran in with a medical team, but Skykeeper would not let them approach. It made a sound like thunder, and the translator caught one word. Mine. Skykeeper, they need to help him, Iris called out. Let them through. The ancient being's eyes fixed on her, calculating. Then, slowly, carefully, it uncurled enough for the medical team to reach Owen. But it kept one massive claw resting gently beside him. A warning and a promise. Owen woke in the medical bay 3 hours later. Every breath hurt. Amy sat beside his bed, looking like she wanted to hit him and hug him at the same time. You jumped in front of an energy blast, meant to kill a creature the size of a building. Yeah, Owen winced. How is Skykeeper? Asking about you every 5 minutes, refusing to calm down until it sees you alive. She shook her head. The bond you 2 have formed, Dr. Iris is calling it unprecedented, a human and a spacefaring ancient being, who would have thought. How bad am I? 3 broken ribs, severe burns, internal bleeding that they stopped. You'll live, though the doctor says you'll need at least 2 weeks of recovery. Owen tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Need to see Skykeeper, let it know I'm okay. You can barely move. Don't care, it saved me, protected me when it could have just killed everyone and escaped. That means something. Director Haven appeared in the doorway. The attackers were members of an extremist group called the Purity Front. They believe any non-member species is a threat to galactic order. Council member Drath provided them with access codes and timing. Let me guess, Drath also owned the mining company. The same, he stands to lose billions if the truth about Skykeeper's capture comes out, attempted to silence the evidence. Haven's mandibles clicked in disgust. He has been arrested. The council is in emergency session. And Skykeeper, the attack, changed everything. It had the perfect opportunity to escape. Every barrier was down. It could have killed everyone here and fled into deep space. Haven paused. Instead, it protected you, showed restraint even when attacked. The Council can no longer pretend it is merely a mindless beast. Owen managed to stand with Amy's help. Take me to the observation room. I need to let Skykeeper know I'm alive. They wheeled him there in a medical chair, despite his protests. Through the window, he could see Skykeeper pacing the chamber, agitated. The moment Owen appeared at the glass, the ancient being went still. I'm okay, Owen said, knowing the translation system would carry his words. You saved me, thank you. Skykeeper approached the window, pressing one massive claw against the glass. Owen raised his hand to match the gesture. The psychic presence in his mind was warm, concerned, and deeply relieved. I could not let them harm you. You saw me, not as a weapon, as me. The translator caught the complex emotions beneath the words. You gave me back myself. I would not let them take you from this world. Dr. Iris was documenting everything, her scientific mind racing. This bond, it forms quickly between your species. Sometimes, when there's recognition, understanding. Owen smiled despite the pain. Humans call it friendship. I think Skykeeper's people have a similar concept. Friend, Skykeeper repeated, testing the word. Yes, friend, I have not had one in many centuries. Security Chief Bren cleared his throat. The Council is voting now on Skykeeper's status. They will announce the decision within the hour. Owen kept his hand against the glass. Whatever they decide, I want to be here when they tell you. I know the outcome, Skykeeper said quietly. I have lived long enough to understand politics. Fear and self-interest always win. Maybe, but sometimes, just sometimes, people surprise you. Owen met those ancient eyes. I've seen it happen, seen people choose compassion over fear. It's rare, but it happens. The hour passed slowly. Then Director Haven's comm unit chimed. He listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When he finished, he looked at Skykeeper and Owen. The Council has reached a decision. By a vote of 7-4 with 2 abstentions, they have ruled that Skykeeper's actions were justified self-defense. The killings that occurred will be classified as a tragedy resulting from corporate negligence and illegal operations. Skykeeper is to be released, with full reparations and a formal apology from the Galactic Council. The observation room erupted in surprised chatter. Owen felt tears on his face and did not bother to hide them. You're free, you can go home. Skykeeper's psychic presence touched his mind gently. Where is home now? The old places are gone, the quiet spaces are claimed, I am alone. Then we'll find you a new home, together, because that's what friends do. The release ceremony was simple. No grand speeches, no political theater. Just Owen, Director Haven, and a small group of witnesses as the containment barriers powered down for the last time. Skykeeper stretched, scales rippling in the light. Months of captivity fell away like old skin. The ancient being moved to the chamber's main airlock, then paused. It turned back to look at Owen. Come with me, see the stars as I see them. Owen hesitated. Dr. Iris immediately protested. Impossible. Humans cannot survive in open space without extensive life support. I can protect. Skykeeper's psychic presence was warm, certain. I have carried smaller beings before long ago. I will keep you safe. Amy Walsh grabbed Owen's arm. This is insane, even for you. Probably, Owen looked at his friend and colleague. But I need to do this, to understand, and Skykeeper needs to know someone trusts them completely. He suited up in a lightweight pressure suit, more for comfort than necessity. When he stepped into the airlock beside Skykeeper, his heart pounded with equal parts fear and excitement. The outer door opened. Space stretched before them, infinite and beautiful. Skykeeper's psychic field wrapped around Owen like an invisible bubble, protecting him from the void. Then the ancient being launched into space, and Owen went with them. Flying through space without a ship was beyond description. Stars wheeled overhead in patterns he had never seen. Nebulae glowed in the distance like cosmic gardens. Skykeeper moved through it all with graceful ease, centuries of experience in every motion. This is how I see the galaxy, Skykeeper shared. Not as systems and sectors, as living, growing, every star a heartbeat, every world a breath. They traveled to a nearby system, one marked as uninhabited. Skykeeper showed Owen how to read the cosmic radiation, how to sense the magnetic fields that flowed between celestial bodies. It was like learning a new language, one spoken in energy and time rather than words. You are the first of your kind to see this, to understand. Skykeeper's presence in Owen's mind was joyful. Your species is young, but you have potential. You see beyond fear. Some of us do, others will take longer. Owen watched a distant supernova remnant pulse with fading energy. What will you do now? Where will you go? I will find my people. We scattered when the young races grew too numerous, but I know the old paths, the hidden places. I will gather them, tell them that perhaps the galaxy is not entirely hostile. A pause. And I will return sometimes to visit if you wish. I'd like that. They returned to the station 6 hours later. Owen's body ached from the psychic strain, but his mind felt clearer than it had in years. Amy met them at the airlock, relief written across her face. Never do that again. No promises. Director haven't approached with news. The council has offered you a position, Dr. Reeves, first contact specialist for misunderstood species. They want you to apply your methods to other situations where violence has erupted from fear and misunderstanding. Owen looked at Skykeeper. What do you think? I think you have a gift. It would be selfish to keep it to myself. The ancient being's amusement colored the psychic link. Besides, I suspect the galaxy has many more creatures that need someone to see them as people rather than threats. 3 months passed. Skykeeper departed into deep space, leaving behind coordinates where messages could be sent. Owen took the council position and moved to a new facility. This one was different. Instead of cages and weapons, it had comfortable habitats designed for various species. Instead of guards, it had counselors and diplomats. His first case arrived on a Tuesday, a creature that had been terrorizing a mining colony. It looked like a massive insect, all chitin and sharp edges. The colony wanted it exterminated. The council wanted Owen to try something different. He studied the reports, noted the patterns. The attacks always happened near a specific canyon. The creature never killed, just scared people away. When he visited the site, he found the reason. Eggs, hundreds of them hidden in the rocks. The mining operation was about to blast right through a nursery. Owen smiled. Some things never changed. People saw threats when they should see parents protecting their young. He recommended relocating the mining operation. The company protested until he published his findings. Public opinion forced them to comply. The creature stopped attacking the moment its young were safe. Eventually, it approached Owen in the same posture Skykeeper had used. Lowered head, an offer of trust. His second case was even stranger. His fifth case made galactic news. By his 10th case, other species were requesting his services specifically. The human who walked into danger without fear. The human who spoke to monsters and found people. 6 months after Skykeeper's release, Owen received a message on the secure channel. The coordinates shifted slightly, a meeting request. He took a small personal craft to the location, a quiet system far from trade routes. Skykeeper waited there, but not alone. 3 others of the ancient species drifted in formation. Smaller, younger, but carrying the same grace and power. My people, Skykeeper introduced them. They wanted to meet the human who changed everything. Owen felt multiple psychic presences touch his mind. Curiosity, gratitude, hope. Your actions created ripples, one of the others communicated. The council's admission of fault, the reparations. Other species are reviewing their own policies on containment and first contact. Change is slow, but it begins. I just saw someone in pain and wanted to help. That is what makes you remarkable, empathy in a universe that often forgets its value. The ancient being that spoke came closer. We have been watching. The work you do, we would like to help, to share our knowledge. Perhaps together we can prevent future tragedies. Over the next year, Owen worked with Skykeeper's people to develop new first contact protocols. They taught him to read psychic signatures, to understand what different species communicated through means beyond words. He taught them about human approaches to building trust, to seeing past initial fear responses. The facility grew. More misunderstood species found sanctuary there. More success stories spread across the galaxy. Humans gained a reputation not as warriors or conquerors, but as bridges. People who could stand between fear and understanding and choose the harder path of compassion. Owen's comm chimed one evening. Another distress call, another species deemed too dangerous to live. A chance to prove that violence was not the only answer. Amy Walsh, now his official second-in-command, read the report. They're calling it a planet killer. Sound familiar? They always are until someone bothers to ask why they're angry. Owen packed his medical bag, the same one he had carried into Skykeeper's cage all those months ago, ready to go save another so-called monster. With you, always. They boarded the transport together. Behind them, the facility hummed with life. Creatures from a dozen worlds, each one formerly feared, now protected. Each one teaching the galaxy that understanding required courage, but the results were worth it. In the dark spaces between stars, Skykeeper felt the ripple of Owen's departure through the cosmic background. The ancient being smiled, if such a thing could be said to smile, and sent a thought across the light years. Go well, friend, show them what we learned together. And in the transport ship, Owen felt the warmth of that psychic touch and knew that somewhere in the galaxy, an ancient being was watching over him, just as he had once watched over them. The universe was vast and often violent, but it was also full of chances for understanding, if only someone was brave enough to walk into the cage without fear and see what others refused to see. Owen Reeves had made that walk once, and he would make it again, as many times as it took, because that was what you did when you understood that every monster had a story and every story deserved to be heard.